Dr. Myles Munroe explains why caring less is not weakness, but wisdom.
I want to start with something that's going to sound completely backwards to everything you've been taught about happiness. Ready? The secret to being genuinely happy isn't caring more about everything around you. It's caring less. Not becoming cold or heartless, but learning the profound art of selective caring that transforms your entire existence. Right now, as you're listening to this, I guarantee you're carrying the weight of 1,000 things that don't deserve even a second of your mental energy. And that weight is stealing your joy, one unnecessary worry at a time. Let me paint you a picture of what's happening in your mind right now. You wake up, and before your feet hit the floor, you're already thinking about what someone said to you yesterday. You're worried about a meeting next week. You're stressed about someone's opinion of your outfit, your car, your house, your life choices.
When you care about everything, you become emotionally bankrupt.
You're carrying the emotional baggage of people who forgot about their interaction with you 5 minutes after it happened. You're living in a prison of caring too much about things that have absolutely zero impact on your actual happiness or success. I spent years of my life as an emotional slave to everyone and everything around me. I cared what the cashier at the grocery store thought about my purchase. I cared if strangers on the street judged my appearance. I cared about every single opinion, every raised eyebrow, every whispered comment that might or might not have been about me. I was exhausted before noon every single day, because I was trying to manage and control the uncontrollable thoughts and feelings of every human being I encountered. Then something shifted. I discovered that happiness isn't an emotion you chase. It's a state you create by deliberately choosing what deserves your energy and what doesn't.
When you care about everything, you become emotionally bankrupt.
The moment I stopped caring about the things that didn't matter, space opened up in my mind and my heart for the things that actually did matter. It was like someone had been playing loud static in my brain for decades, and suddenly the noise stopped. Here's what nobody tells you about caring less. It doesn't make you callous, it makes you powerful. When you stop wasting your emotional energy on meaningless drama, petty opinions, and situations beyond your control, you become unstoppable in the areas where your energy actually belongs. You become a focused laser beam instead of scattered candlelight. Your relationships improve because you're no longer desperate for validation. Your work improves because you're not paralyzed by the fear of judgment. Your entire life improves because you're finally investing your energy where it can actually grow.
Happiness doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't.
The human brain is designed to care. It's a survival mechanism that kept our ancestors alive when being rejected by the tribe meant death. But in today's world, that same mechanism is destroying us. We're treating every social media comment like a life or death situation. We're giving away our power to people who don't even know our last names. We're allowing the moods and opinions of others to dictate our internal state. And then we wonder why we feel so empty and frustrated. I'm going to share something with you that changed my life forever. There are exactly 3 categories of things in this world that you can care about, and only one of them deserves your full attention. First, there are things you can control completely. Your thoughts, your actions, your responses, your effort, your attitude. Second, there are things you can influence but not control. Your relationships, your health to some degree, your opportunities through your actions. Third, there are things you cannot control or influence at all. Other people's opinions, the weather, the past, the economy, someone else's mood.
Trying to control people creates anxiety. Letting go creates peace.
Most people spend 90% of their emotional energy on category 3, 10% on category 2, and almost nothing on category 1. Then they wonder why they feel powerless and unhappy. The secret to happiness is flipping that ratio completely upside down. Spend 90% of your energy on what you can control, 10% on what you can influence, and 0% on everything else. Now say care less. I'm not telling you to become a sociopath.
You don't lose power when you stop controlling. You gain rest.
I'm telling you to become selective. Care deeply about your family, but stop caring about what your family thinks about every decision you make. Care about doing excellent work, but stop caring about whether your co-workers like your presentation style. care about being healthy, but stop caring about fitting into society's impossible standards of perfection. The magic happens in the space between caring and not caring. It's where you care enough to try your best, but not so much that the outcome destroys you. It's where you care enough to show up authentically, but not so much that you twist yourself into someone you're not just to please others. It's where you care enough to have standards, but not so much that you become paralyzed by perfectionism.
Your peace is stolen by opinions, expectations, and unnecessary battles.
I want you to imagine your emotional energy as a bank account. Every time you worry about something you can't control, you're making a withdrawal. Every time you stress about someone else's opinion, you're overdrawing your account. Every time you replay a conversation from 3 weeks ago, trying to figure out what you should have said differently, you're hemorrhaging your precious emotional currency. Most people are emotionally bankrupt by the time they're 30 because they've been spending their energy on things that give them no return on investment.
You don't lose power when you stop controlling. You gain rest.
Now imagine if you took all that wasted energy and redirected it toward building something meaningful, toward developing a skill that excites you, toward nurturing relationships with people who actually matter, toward creating something that makes you feel proud when you look in the mirror. That's the power of caring less about the wrong things so you can care more about the right things. The world is going to try to convince you that everything matters equally. Social media algorithms are designed to make you care about everything all the time because your attention is their profit.
Happiness begins when you choose where your emotions are invested.
News outlets want you to be outraged about situations you can't influence because outrage keeps you watching. Other people want you to care about their problems because it makes them feel less alone in their chaos. Well, you have a choice. You can either be the dumping ground for everyone else's emotional chaos, or you can be the architect of your own peace. I learned this lesson the hard way when I realized I was living my entire life for an audience that didn't exist. I was making decisions based on what I thought people would think, but when I actually asked myself who these people were, I couldn't name them. I was worried about the judgment of strangers, acquaintances, and people I didn't even like. I was giving veto power over my happiness to people who wouldn't even notice if I disappeared tomorrow. The moment I stopped caring about impressing people I didn't respect, everything changed. I started making decisions based on what actually made sense for my life instead of what looked good to others. I started saying no to invitations that drained me and yes to opportunities that excited me, regardless of whether they seemed impressive to anyone else. I started dressing in a way that made me feel comfortable instead of trying to fit into some image I thought others expected. Here's what happened next. The people who mattered didn't care about any of the superficial stuff I'd been worried about. The people who did care about those things revealed themselves to be exactly the kind of people whose opinions I didn't need in my life. It was like a natural filter that separated the genuine relationships from the transactional ones. When you stop trying to please everyone, you discover who your real friends are. And you also discover that you don't actually need as many friends as you thought you did.
You don't lose power when you stop controlling. You gain rest.
Quality over quantity applies to everything in life, especially relationships. One person who accepts you exactly as you are is worth more than 100 people who only like the version of you that you perform for them. When you care less about having everyone like you, you create space for the right people to love you authentically. When you care less about appearing perfect, you become approachable to people who are also struggling with their own imperfections. The fear of not caring enough is just another form of caring too much. You're not going to become a terrible person if you stop worrying about what everyone thinks. You're not going to miss out on important opportunities if you stop saying yes to everything. You're not going to lose meaningful relationships if you stop people-pleasing your way through every interaction. In fact, the opposite is true.
Not every comment deserves a response.
When you care less about the wrong things, You become more effective at everything that actually matters. I want to talk about the physical effects of caring too much about the wrong things. Your body doesn't know the difference between running from a lion and worrying about a text message that hasn't been returned. It produces the same stress hormones, the same fight or flight response, the same physical tension.
You don't lose power when you stop controlling. You gain rest.
When you constantly care about things beyond your control, you're putting your body in a state of chronic stress that ages you, exhausts you, and makes you sick. But when you learn to care selectively, something incredible happens to your physiology. Your nervous system calms down, your sleep improves, your digestion improves, your immune system strengthens, your mind becomes clearer. You literally become healthier by caring less about the things that don't serve you. This isn't just psychology, this is biology. Your body rewards you for making wise choices about where to invest your emotional energy.
Trying to control people creates anxiety. Letting go creates peace.
The practice of caring less starts with awareness. Throughout your day today, I want you to notice every time you feel stressed, anxious, or upset. Ask yourself, is this something I can control or change? Is this something that will matter in 5 years? Is this worth my energy? Is caring about this serving me or hurting me? Most of the time, the answer will reveal that you're spending your precious emotional currency on something that gives you no return. Once you become aware of how much energy you're wasting, the next step is learning to redirect it. Every time you catch yourself caring about something that doesn't deserve your attention, deliberately shift your focus to something that does. Instead of worrying about whether your coworker likes you, focus on doing work you can be proud of. Instead of stressing about your ex's new relationship, focus on building your own life into something that excites you. Instead of caring about likes on social media, focus on creating something meaningful in the real world. This isn't about becoming emotionally numb. It's about becoming emotionally intelligent. It's about understanding that your emotional energy is finite and precious and treating it accordingly. It's about recognizing that caring about everything is the same as caring about nothing, because when your energy is scattered in 1,000 directions, none of them receive enough attention to create real change.
You don't lose power when you stop controlling. You gain rest.
The people who seem naturally happy aren't the ones who have perfect lives. They're the ones who have learned to care deeply about a few important things and barely at all about everything else. They've figured out that happiness isn't about accumulating more reasons to be happy. It's about eliminating the unnecessary reasons to be unhappy. When you stop caring about things that don't matter, you stop being a victim of circumstances beyond your control. You stop being at the mercy of other people's moods and opinions. You stop being devastated by setbacks that are just temporary obstacles. You become the author of your own emotional experience instead of letting everyone and everything else write your story. I'm not suggesting you become selfish or uncaring about others. I'm suggesting you become strategic about your caring. Care about your family's well-being, but not about their approval of your career choices. Care about being a good friend, but not about being everyone's best friend. Care about contributing to your community, but not about being recognized for every contribution you make.
If this message is freeing your mind, comment, "I choose peace" below. This is not indifference, it's wisdom.
The paradox of caring less is that it often leads to better outcomes in the areas you do care about. When you're not desperate for approval, people respect you more. When you're not attached to specific outcomes, you make better decisions. When you're not afraid of failure, you take more intelligent risks. When you're not trying to control everything, you become more adaptable and resilient. Think about the last time you did something you were genuinely proud of. I guarantee it wasn't when you were worried about what everyone would think. It was when you were focused on the work itself, when you cared more about the process than the praise, when you were willing to risk failure for the chance at something meaningful. That's what happens when your caring is properly directed.
Happiness doesn't come from caring less about life. It comes from caring less about what doesn't matter. When you master detachment, You don't lose people, you find peace. Thank you for watching. If this message blessed you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it.